How's everybody doing, and welcome back. I hope everybody is having a happy Monday thus far. Just got off work. I'm going to head up to Walmart and get fuel in my truck. Probably been, well, yesterday it was 2 weeks since I put fuel in. And right after that video that I did, you know, asking some different questions about my comp box, I set my comp box to 1x4 is what I thought, but I just looked yesterday and it is actually set on 1x2. I wanted to see what kind of fuel mileage gains I could get by just playing around with some different settings on my comp box. Primarily, since I've owned the truck, I've always had it set on like 3x4 or 3x5, and with my 200 horse injectors and, you know, pulling a trailer about 50 to 60 miles on the weekends, every single weekend, I was doing about 15-ish miles per gallon. Now, granted, my fuel or my injectors are way too big, way oversized. I have no idea why they ever put those injectors in this truck. I'm going to be taking those out and probably going with like 125s, right around in there, I think. I'm not certain. But, you know, and I don't have my speedometer recalibrated either. So, you know, my truck says right up there that I'm doing like 22.5 miles to the gallon, which is not right because I don't have my speedometer recalibrated. So, you know, that is way, way off. I'm going to go to the same place I got fuel at last time, which is my local Walmart on the east side of town. Their turnover is pretty good. They sell a lot of fuel because there's only one other place on that side of town that actually has diesel fuel. So, and they're usually the cheapest in town. Right now, I believe the last I checked, it was $2.83 a gallon. The last time I purchased it, it was $2.67 a gallon. So, I'm gonna go back there, and I'm also gonna run 4 ounces of the everyday diesel from Hot Shots Secret again, and see what kind of mileage I get. I may bump this one up to the 1x4 and see what it does. And then also I got a road trip planned next weekend, or next week too, to go pick up an item for my wife's dance studio. So that'll be a good way to see like what I get as far as, you know, highway mileage too. So it's just something I wanted to do a video on and see what kind of mileage I actually can pull out of my truck with the 200 horse injectors, but those really need to be downsized. About the only time you need the 200 horse injectors is if you're running, you know, like a compound setup, and I don't have that, nor do I have. Well, I thought about running, you know, putting a compound setup on here, but I don't know. Don't really have the funds to make it happen right now. So what I have is fine. But I also would like to possibly upgrade my turbo that's on my truck too, and go with like a 365 instead of my 300. Right now I have an S300 on there that is a 5765, and I think it's kind of undersized, especially undersized for the amount of fuel that I'm dumping. So when we get up here, I'll gotta start filling up and see how many gallons. Right now I still have I'm sitting right at just under a quarter of a tank. And like I said, I've ran probably, well, I have ran 2 weeks as of yesterday, and I'm right at 446 miles out of this tank of fuel. So we'll see how many gallons of fuel we put in it, do the math, and see what kind of mileage this tank got out of it. Okay, just so you can see, I am at Walmart, and then there's the Murphy USA right behind me there. So it's all the same fuel. You saw me put in the 4 ounces of Hot Shots like I did last time. This time I did do, there's what my mileage is, 453.8, and it was $2.79 a gallon, and I got 30.72 gallons. So if we do the math on that, so I had 453 miles at 0.8. And one thing that I do, I don't have my speedometer recalibrated. So therefore, my tires, the original tires that go on this truck, according to my door panel, is 245 by 75, I believe is what it said on there. Anyway, the stock tires are a 30.5 by 9.5. The tires I have on my truck now are 35 by 12.5. So that's roughly a difference of 13%. Now these tires are worn quite a bit, so I'm going to take it down to 10%. So if I would take that 453.8 miles and multiply it by 10% and add it to that, so I need to add 45.38 miles to my 453 because of tire size and not having my speedometer recalibrated. So let's do that. So I got 453.8 plus 45.38 equals, that's a total of 499.8 or 0.18 miles that I've traveled in my truck. And then I want to divide that by 30.72 equals. So in that tank of fuel, I did 16.25 miles to the gallon. And that's also, you know, that's with towing a trailer every weekend, roughly between 60 and 70 miles on the weekends. I tow a trailer. So with the injectors that are in my truck and my fuel air combination, I don't think that's just too bad, but you know, that's what's set at 1 by 2. Now I'm gonna bump that up. There's 3 and there's 4, and do 1 by 4 and see what this tank of fuel does. Now if I do make that road trip next week, I'm gonna fill up again and see what this is early, and then I'm also going to see what I do over the road. So I mean, my truck up there, you know, it's saying about 22.5 miles to the gallon, which, you know, that's way off because of the size of the tires that's on the truck and with the speedometer not being calibrated. Now I have tossed around the idea of taking it to the Dodge dealer and having the speedometer recalibrated, but they said it'd be $80 to put it on their computer and then not a guarantee that they would be able to get it within spec. Within spec is 5 above or 5 below. No, I think something like it. I can't remember. I can't remember what tolerance they're allowed to have. I thought it was 5 to above, 5 below, but I'm not 100% certain now. It may be only 2 or 3. Anyway, regardless, it's not a guarantee that they would be able to get it right on. So this is just something I wanted to do to kind of show you what I'm getting out of my truck, doing the math. So, you know, I guess for, you know, a 7,000 or so pound truck, I guess that's not bad. I think it could be better compared to what some of the other guys are getting, but I think it also has a lot to do with turbo and injectors that are in my truck too. I think the turbo is undersized for the injectors, and I think the injectors are just way oversized for this truck. But that's just something I haven't changed yet because it is a costly item, and in this, you know, it's kind of a budget channel. I like to do things on a budget, and that's a big item that I'm gonna have to purchase. So, you know, with doing my clutch last year, that ate up a lot of reserve cash. So I need to get something built back up so I can change the injectors now. So anyway, guys, if you don't mind, hit that like button, give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you have not already done so. Any questions, comments, or any questions at all, leave them below in the comments or DM me on Instagram at Chad_Meyer73. We'll talk to you guys later on. Bye-bye.